Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this fine day. I see people joining all over from South Africa, as well as Africa. So welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining. I promise you are in good hands. We have a lot of interesting topics to cover, so with that being said, let's get started. There will be a prize giving at the end, so listen carefully so you have the answers at the end. We are giving away big time. I'm sure you are definitely well aware, CRS is an authorized IBM training center and a RedHat training partner, as well as a cybersecurity distributor. We have many awesome cyber vendors. One in particular that fits in well with our topic today is Beachhead Secure. Beachhead Secure is a cloud-based data security platform providing cybersecurity and IT teams with encryption and remote access control. So definitely a strong one there. It was built to continually and thoroughly and automatically protect vulnerable data across all device types. We will be covering real-world scenarios, which includes email phishing by Kevin Mabukela, and then DNS hijacking, dealing with interception and methods for email encryption by Tristan Govender. We will be breaking down how it works from sender to recipient and everything in between, including how to mitigate this risk. We then move into an email encryption deep dive. All of this will be covered by Amit Parbucharan. Amit, by the way, is our guest speaker for the day. So thank you for that, Amit. Thank you for joining us. Then over to a Q&A. And guys, this is close to where we will be handing out prizes. So again, listen carefully. With that being said, by way of introduction, my name is Dylan Null, at least last I checked. I will be your host for today. We also have Tristan Govender, senior sales engineer, very well versed in cybersecurity. Definitely a guy you want in your corner. As you can see, his muscles do definitely stand out, so you definitely want him there with you. We then have Kevin Mabukela, who is a technical account specialist, recently completed his studies at TUT, a young up-and-comer, however, a true find. Here's a good-looking one, by the way, on your screen right now. Amit will introduce himself during the course of the presentation. So you may ask, what is all the hype about? Well, if I can just reiterate these sort of things. Can you get scammed if someone has your email? If a hacker wanted to try breaking into one of your online accounts, knowing your email address, I promise you this is a solid first step, right? Obviously, they can't log in without your password, but knowing your email address, they could start targeting you with phishing emails, malicious attachments, things that install malware onto your machine, that sort of thing. So if a hacker does get access to your email account, it could be, well, let's just call it devastating. Any sensitive financial details, company login information, passwords to physical locks, all of these things will be visible to the hacker. The information then allows them to start performing data theft. That's obviously what you want to try and avoid. So mail interception fraud is when criminals steal information such as email usernames and passwords, which allows them to hack personal or business email accounts, which are even more important, I'd say, or at least in most cases. They then monitor incoming mails and intercept emails with private information such as invoices, banking details, account information, that sort of thing. With that being said, let me hand over to Mr. Mabukela to explain a little further. Kevin, over to you, sir.
Well, thanks for that, Dylan. Now let's deep dive a bit further. Phishing has in a major way. Phishing is a major issue in South Africa, and it is one of the biggest reasons for email interception and financial fraud. Roughly about 15 billion emails make their way across the internet every day, which means that spam filters are working overtime and are liable to permit malicious phishing attacks to slip through. So how do attackers make use of these spam or phishing emails for financial fraud? So for one, they start phishing campaigns in two ways. One, they will target a niche group of specific people in a method called spear phishing, or should I say targeted phishing. This will be where they specifically aim for individuals who control aspects of an organization, such as payments or approvals and etc. Or they will send a mass mailer with a generic email to retrieve data such as email addresses and passwords through forms that look trustworthy, like your Microsoft or LinkedIn login screens. So basically, credential harvesting. Once they have the details, they will monitor your inboxes and send items for documents such as invoices, quotes, and financial documents. They will then change the banking details on the invoices so that the money that is paid by the customer or the recipient of that specific invoice is paid to the attacker's account instead of the legitimate account, in which being your business account. The money is then paid, and the business has been breached both on the email and financially, and this will cause strain internally and in trying to determine what went wrong and where. What went wrong and where, and it's generally an issue to discover the root cause. And needless to say, it'll be one that causes you more financial strain. The customer who has paid the amount will have lack of trust in the business because of the breach, and this will cause a lack of trust in all the parties involved, both being you, the business, and the customer. But then, with that being said, this is not the only method that they will be using. There's also another one that they use called DNS hijacking, which Tristan Govender will walk you through.
Fantastic.
Tristan, over to you.
Thanks for that, Kevin. Really appreciate it. And thanks, guys, for joining today. Just a bit of elaboration on this one as well. Like we said, this is business email compromise, and it's exactly where they're going to be jumping into your mailbox. It's one of the most contentious ones that we see nowadays, and it's definitely one that's growing in contention. And it's one of the most popular methods out there for your phishing and business email compromise and email interception. But like Kevin said, there is another one which is called DNS hijacking. And this is exactly the scenario that we look into, and it's an increasingly growing attack in South Africa that's creating major havoc in businesses. The main cause of DNS hijacking, or DNS for short, or the longer version of DNS, is domain name service. And this type of attack is due to the fact that DNS servers are that is usually held by hosting companies is not designed with security in mind. So it is something that you would have to check and make sure that your hosting companies and etc. They have this in place, and that they ensuring that all of these methods are in place. And if you're hosting it yourself as an organization, you have to ensure that the DNS records and the remediations that we are going to give you shortly are in place. Okay, so let's just discuss how the DNS hijacking attacks type kind of work and exactly where the scenario comes from. So essentially, starting off, an attacker would have interception of a DNS server. So a sender would be about to send an email to her mail server, which is generally sent onto recipients. And this is a basic function. However, if there's no MX record on the server to prevent the interception or hijacking of the communication stream, the hacker is able to intercept the DNS server. Once they have access to the DNS server, they will route the emails to an IP address of the attacker's own mail server. They'll push the email to that mail server, and they will respond to that mail, or intercept that mail communication and send on to the recipient as if they are the intended person. So they would receive the email and make an invisible attack on the sender. So you're thinking about, for example, if you are sending a communication um, to a client, for example, the attacker would um, intercept that email. They would see what that email about, and for example, if it's an invoice expecting payment, they will send that exact same email onto your client just with their own details. Okay, and where this essentially leads in them paying money to the wrong account, and like Kevin says, there'll be a loss of trust in the organization and the organizational clients. Okay, so it is a major issue, and it is one of major contention, and one of losing trust is quite a big issue in a company in a country like South Africa, and across Africa. This is a growing issue. So let's just break this down a bit further in the anatomy of DNS hijacking and how it works. So essentially, a sender would be sending a legitimate email to their mail server. This mail server is unprotected with the correct MX records that we'll discuss shortly. The MX records are pretty much the security settings that you would have on the accounts, or rather the domain name service settings that you would have configured on that server to protect that server as well. Okay. The attacker would then see this mail server with the missing MX address. He would compromise that and he would get into that mailbox. He would respond with a rogue IP address. Okay, that would be sent to that legitimate email address and it would redirect the mail from the sender to their own mail server. Okay. Once that's done, they would put together their own communication and what they want the email to look like, and they would send it onto the mail server of the recipient's email. And then the recipients would receive an intercepted mail with the compromised email, for example, their own banking details and etc. The payments would be made to the wrong email, to the wrong bank account and etc. So you can see where the issue comes into place, and it is quite a contentious issue. Okay. Um, Okay, so just moving on from there, it's a you can see that it is quite a contentious issue. It is one that we want to remediate. So how would you deal with these type of two situations that we've given? One where you're looking at business email compromise, and one where you're looking at um, DNS hijacking of them intercepting an email communication stream with yourself as sender and your clients as recipients. Okay. Um, so there's 5 ways to deal with an email interception that we're going to identify in this webinar, but there's always a lot more that you can look into. But the major ones that we see for one is going to be starting off with making use of two-factor authentication and strengthened passwords. This is something that you need to make sure is done as soon as possible. Making sure that your inbox, that your email addresses, that your um, login details for all the sites have two-factor authentication and extremely strong passwords. Okay. The reason for this, especially for two-factor authentication, is if you are caught in that situation of that phishing attack that Kevin mentioned, they might have the login email, they might have the login information for their account, but they would not have the two-factor authentication code. So you would be notified that they are trying to get into that mailbox and compromise your email account, but they would not be able to actually get into that mailbox. Okay. And obviously, a strengthened password just makes sure that they're not able to brute force that mailbox. Brute force means that they're going to be trying to guess your password. They're going to be trying various passwords to get into that mailbox based off information that you've given them through phishing and credential harvesting. Okay, so those two methods are extremely important, and it ties into the second point that I want to talk about, which is cyber awareness. Okay, cyber awareness is something that we see as a major requirement that's lacking in most organizations of today. And this means that employees don't understand the risks that they face every day and how to deal with them. This is ranging from being able to identify phishing emails, to understanding how to identify malicious links, to understanding the necessity for strong passwords. And actually, where you would be able to, or where we would be able to assist you, is that CRS offers methods catered to all organizations to grow cyber awareness in the form of cyber risk essentials tools. And essentially, this would assist organizations in making a major leap in cyber awareness, then grow in cyber awareness over time through phishing, smishing, and phishing simulations and training. So definitely, if you want to find out more about cyber risk essentials and how you're able to grow cyber awareness in your organization, get in touch with your favorite account manager, or you're able to contact info@cyberretaliatorsolutions.com to find out more. Okay, but again, cyber awareness is definitely something that you need, especially in accounts people. And if your organization is dealing with a lot of financial information like salaries, and if you're dealing with a lot of financial information from a lot of clients and consultants and etc., you need to make sure that the people that are managing those payments and approvals, that they are the ones that are cyber aware, because they will be targeted. We were given a very interesting scenario earlier in this week where a personnel was targeted based off what they do, their job on LinkedIn and their profiles on LinkedIn. They would be targeted based off of that. So you definitely want to make sure that your accounts people, people in finance, and just generally everyone in your organization is cyber aware. and helping out on that level. Okay. The next point that we look into again is a point of cyber awareness as well, to avoid using public Wi-Fi. So avoiding using public Wi-Fi falls into the area of cyber awareness for the reason that it's a risk that a general person wouldn't think about. You mean you go to a restaurant, you think that there is free Wi-Fi and it's all happy days. It's perfect. It's it's um it's essentially where the risk lies. It's essentially like having a private conversation in a crowded hall with everyone standing around you. If they wanted to listen, they would. The same principle applies to open Wi-Fi. Your connections are able to get intercepted, so you rather steer clear from making use of public Wi-Fi networks. You're thinking about your any passwords that you're entering, any communication with websites, any for example, your banking information. If you're entering your information into banking websites on a public Wi-Fi, all those packets of information are able to get intercepted. Okay, if someone knows how to look for them, they would be able to retrieve it, and you would be one of those who are at risk of you would be at risk of falling prey to these type of attacks. Okay. Finally, the next one that we look at is the DMARC and SPF records. And this is one that will definitely help you with those DNS attacks. And it's one that's growing as well, like I said, growing in contention. And it is a fairly easy fix for most organizations. So just to explain where this comes from, what is DMARC and SPF? DMARC is an email authentication protocol. It's designed to give email domain owners the ability to protect their domain from unauthorized use, which is commonly known as email spoofing. So people climbing into your mailbox or spoofing that email, that is what your DMARC record would be protecting against. An SPF record identifies the mail servers and domains that are allowed to send emails on behalf of your domain. Okay, so receiving servers would check your SPF records to verify that incoming messages that appear to be from your organizations are sent from servers allowed by you. And both of these MX records assist in securing your servers from a compromise that you should ensure that both are in place. So definitely reach out to your hosting company and ask them if these are in place, or if you are the one hosting your own DNS servers and hosting servers, we can definitely assist you. Okay. So like I said, as an organization, if you want to find out if they are in place, you can also book a vulnerability or penetration test with us at CRS, and we'll show you where your most pressing vulnerabilities are and how to resolve them. Okay. So stick around to the end. There's also some very exciting information on this one and some prizes to win. So you definitely just want to stay around until the end. You'll definitely get something out of it. Okay. And finally, a major one is email encryption. And this is bringing me into the different methods for email encryption, and there are quite a few. So just to cover some in a bit of detail, the first one that we look into is TLS, or Transport Layer Security, and it might be one that you've heard about already. So TLS encryption is used by email providers like Microsoft and Google to secure emails as they move from sender to recipient, and it stops emails from being read after they are sent. But before they are delivered, um, this is done before they are delivered. Okay, so this encrypts the email stream of communication only. So, you're thinking about from the time you click that send button to the time it's received in their mailbox, everything in between that is where there will be security. Okay, where there will be encryption. Okay, it's just a note though that TLS is not 100% guaranteed. It is dependent on the configuration of transmitting mail servers as well as recipients later for a trade-off on the best security measure that's used in the communication. So you just want to take note of that. That's not 100% reliable. It is just a trade-off by the sender mailbox and the recipient mailbox. And again, this is something that we see a lot on a lot of the IMAP accounts. Like, for example, if you're using a lot of your voter mails and some various other means, you might not have this type of security implemented. Okay, so TLS offers a little protection as a compromise on the recipient end is generally where the compromise ends, is not the sender end. Okay. The next method that we look into is SMIME, or Secure Multipurpose Internet Mail Extensions, and it makes use of certificates that are installed on the email clients of both the recipient and the sender. So when an email is sent, the sender encrypts the email using the recipient's public key, and the recipient decrypts the email using a private key. Okay, so SMIME also attaches a digital signature to an email, and it's a superb means. However, it requires a public key infrastructure. This is a set of roles, policies, hardware, software, and procedures that you need to create, manage, distribute, use, store, and revoke in time. So you can see it is quite complex as a method to implement and manage. Okay. The next one that we look into in the next encryption type is inline gateway services. Okay, so an email gateway is a type of email server that protects an organization or user's internal email servers. The server acts as a gateway through which each and every incoming and outgoing email passes through. So if you think in something like a firewall, if you know how a firewall works, it's that all that communication, it's working in a very similar way of having a gateway type of implementation. This is providing a form of data loss prevention, which will limit the access to the content on a that's hosted on a cloud. Um, but these solutions generally require a lot of MX changes and registration, as well as a separate registration and login to a third-party solution. Okay. Um, you then look into something like a hosted email encryption service, and this makes use of a separate service to send an encrypted email by means of paying for an additional bandwidth and storage of each mail that you send. So you're thinking about using something outside of Outlook and using a different mail service provider and stuff like that. Um, it adds a layer to the communication process that you would generally not want to do, or a lot of organizations prefer Outlook as a main source of communication, and this is making use of another application for this type of communication. Okay. Um, Above all, or pretty much all of the above that I mentioned are excellent means, and I motivate you to look into all of them as forms of email security. But again, they do not take user experience into account, and you will find the exact same for that type of issue. And that's exactly where we introduce the password encrypted PDF. And someone who knows a lot about this method in detail is Amit from our vendor partner, Beachhead. So, Amit, welcome to this webinar today. So you guys are doing password protected PDF email encryption. What are some things that you guys were looking at when you were looking to develop your email encryption tool?
Hey, Justin, thanks for the warm welcome and really pleased and privileged to be on your guys' webinar this morning. And absolutely, when we were starting to look at the challenge that's going on, not just in South Africa, but, globally, this is just such a painstaking issue right now. And I'm sure most people on the call either themselves or know of somebody that's been affected by, email infiltration or some form of breach and kind of data exposure, right? So when we were considering introducing something for the market, we really wanted to bring out something that was really simple for sending out emails as encrypted, and also not to confuse the matter, to focus on the use case, which is ultimately about sending data securely. And that was providing some means to send information secure end-to-end encrypted from the sender all the way to the recipient, to keep it really simple, but give enough administrative controls to be flexible with the solution. Another key point was data sovereignty. You talked about email gateways and you talked about externalized services in your previous slide there. The challenge is that now sits in some third-party cloud. So the question is, where's that email? In whose cloud is it? How secure is my email in that third-party cloud? In which country is that hosted? And then what happens if something goes wrong there? Do people have access to the encrypted email and the keys? Can governments get access to that stuff, etc.? And so sovereignty means that you want to basically maintain the complete privacy of that email, meaning that we can try and do this, outside of any cloud as possible. So that was an important consideration when we were designing the application to do this. keep it as flexible but as streamlined as possible. Now, you made a point about the other methods, and they're all good methods, absolutely. But like you said, the biggest issue is not so much you as the sender sending out an encrypted email. It's really about the recipient experience. In fact, it's all about the recipient experience. If picture yourself or put yourself in a position where you were receiving an email from somebody that was encrypted, and love and behold, if you have an issue with it and you can't open it and you can't access it, you as a recipient start getting frustrated about it, right? The other method is where, a lot of the services put in links into an email and say, click here to access the encrypted email. Well, Kevin just mentioned phishing, and we're trying to get users away from clicking links and clicking things, right? So that kind of goes against the grain of what we're trying to achieve from a security standpoint. So really looking gives a very good user experience or recipient experience and not further compromise security. Wanted to use a method and a format that recipients are already. In your opening statement there, you mentioned PDF, right? So going ahead from this now, let's talk about our email encryption app, which we introduced. Email encryption. It is a plug-in for Microsoft Outlook that will work on any Windows PC, and it gives the user an ability to send encrypted email or email as encrypted. That is really easy for the sender. Like I said, just as important, keeping it simple for the recipient. So it is a plugin for Windows, and we will be using the PDF format. Now you're probably thinking of, well, why PDF? Relate. They're probably receiving today already emails from their bank. Maybe it's a bank statement or financial medical aid, a PDF file. It's password encrypted, and they put in the, that is exactly what this is. But you can imagine the big banks have systems to do that stuff. A small business might not. So we have designed an application all on your PC, give the same type of approach where we can send information in secure password encrypted, just like the big banks sending out. Also embed attachments or something inside that PDF. App can be as powerful. It is any sized organization, person, sole proprietor, operating or consulting, or you are, a 20-person attorney firm. It would work for any size organization. And the organizations that would take this app is people that do want to keep it neat, want to achieve or task. What is very important is when you install the app mode where it's really have to do anything, but if you want to customize it and purposes, we have interactive mode that can really changes. And out features just flexible encryption options, which basically caters for most scenarios. Now, one most important thing is the password that you use for opening that encrypted PDF, right? For instance, you receive that you must use your ID number or something, right? That is communicated to you in a form of email. We have integrated into the application, so you can send that password separately via SMS or it via the application and choose to communicate that maybe personally or something. So we separated that means in keeping. One could use personal passwords where it's just you and I communicating, or central where we're linking an ID number, something, the encrypted PDF. That list of passwords. Interesting is that this works for any email account, including Gmail, right? Anything inside of Outlook as an email client would work. We are not linked to a Microsoft. Part for the folks, involved in IT, it's plain sailing. To the mail environment, no kind of MX changes or anything, you're good to go. So we believe that the app will have ability that's effective, Poppy or something, and it does deliver people are after today. So hopefully that clarifies what that is. So moving along from here, Tristan, I actually want to give your audience just a kind of visual kind of, and if you can kind of just follow me through these steps on how it would work, it would probably help you make sense of this. So you obviously have a soft installed, just clicking ahead there. You install our application on that seamlessly with your Microsoft computer side of the Microsoft about. So let's this now of sending this encrypted email. Is you compose your email as you compose emails today in new message, and you basically type, and I'm type my recipient, to Justin, and attachments, etc. From depending on how it's set up, it could do it automatically. It could prompt you to say, click a special button on how you want to achieve it, but you literally will choose your option to send this that form. Is take that email, an encrypted PDF, and apply some password control to that. Now the beauty you see now, internet. This is time it leaves your inbox, your PC. It's then it goes internet, and then showing on the other side the recipient, which is the third party you're sending it to, a completely encrypted PDF as well. Now you notice that that email is completely, so even if you do DNS hijacking or infiltration there, the email or the content related to about, so it's encryption. Point, we need to tell the recipient how to open or what the password is. We communicate that stream, not in the email itself, either separately via another email or to another email address, more popularly to a mobile phone number, like an SMS text message that tells that recipient, hey, ID number, or use the you open that. Now, just to that the password that we attach can be a user-defined password that you set up in Outlook when you're sending the email, or any defined password. Emails to Justin will basically be using his. We as a company control that, and basically the user doesn't even see what that ID number is. The application basically encrypts, and your recipient or person I'm sending the email to will then use that password, open a PDF from your bank, right, sent to you. You then basically open that and you get is that file could have been downloaded onto your phone. Is that remains encrypted the device that you got it. Even if your email was infiltrated, or even if your device was level of assurance that's now is still secured. Unlocking that then unlocked, So essentially from that perspective, just clicking ahead there, if that this gives you end-to-end, right? So just click ahead. Basically, that gives you that end-to-end encryption from sender, from all the way to when somebody has it on their device, not even when they open it, but even if it's down, that encrypted, and every time you open it, you need a password. It could be like a number or a secret, whatever. So hopefully this clarifies for your audience and gives them a good perspective of how this works. I'm sure lots of questions are going to manifest from this process, and we're going to be taking the end. Some stuff regarding our app is right. So we be possible I can tell you that this is even stronger than what your bank is sending to you. And you can check that in the PDF that they send you security, and you'll most likely see it's 128, but we're using double terms is like whatever 2 million security just by doubling that key cipher, right? Here we also talk about click ahead, also that emails, right? And that means that we can the permissions that's applied. So whether the person on the other side, and whether they can copy. So there's a lot of that we can give conveyancing attorneys, a contract and those kind of things. Well, what is obscure. Send somebody an email, you're saying, hey, payment due for today, and your knows exactly what it relates to. It's like, that's the one we're going to go for and change the invoice. What we do is we hide that obscure on the internet, doesn't know what that email relates or payment or when you open that email, do you see what that subject is in terms of an going on from the encryption, as I mentioned, is done both in transit and at rest on the recipient device. So it's all, which is quite good. Moving at the other capabilities and customize quite extensive. I said there's zero setup required in terms of the email environment. Go ahead. Unencrypted. And this is because either you need to access it again of that trail within the app and your normal outlook, that kind of requirements. And then I mentioned and hopped on the point about data sovereignty guaranteed. This data moving, your email that you're sending is not third-party cloud, PC inside of Outlook computer, and so the sovereignty and the protection of that data is on device. It's not in. Going on from there, we've designed this to be really neat and simple, and everything is inside Outlook. There's literally just 3 screens inside of Outlook that allows one to set up, that allows one to provide some additional functions, and to even do that shared password database that we spoke about. It's very neat and easy. Don't get daunted by the screen that I'm showing you. When we onboard you as a customer, we go through the training, which just tells you what each setting means so you can make an informed decision about what you want to set up and use. So there's enough flexibility afforded in this capability of the app there. All right. So really simple and neat. Now, the passwords itself are maintained in a database. There's 2 databases. There's one called a personal password list. So as you emailing people out, it starts saying, hey, you want to encrypt? Great. Just give us a password or we'll create one for you. That gets automatically generated. And this list just starts building as you start emailing people out. So there's nothing too much to do. It's a user controllable list if you want to amend it or add to it, etc. But it builds automatically as you email out. Now, there is another list, which is the shared password list. This one, the user can see to a certain level, but they don't control it. The administrator or the company secretary will be controlling this. And this is where you want to tie a company password to the encryption. So if I'm emailing Justin, instead of him having a personal password that I define, the company should say, well, we want the ID number to be linked to Justin. And so the company defines that. And whenever you're sending out to Justin, it links that shared password list. So it's a centrally controlled database of passwords, and we just simply link that inside the app. Really cool. Again, don't have to worry too much about it. It's done by your IT admin people, and for the user, it is straightforward and simple to use. Right, now I did say the purpose of this is to meet the sender obligations. when you are emailing out personal or sensitive information and to then send that out as encrypted. That is the prime focus of our app. I want to be clear about what this app is not so that we don't cross lines in terms of what we can do. So first up, this app is not meant for bi-directional email communications, meaning it's designed for you as the sender to send out email in an encrypted form, but it's not designed for the third-party person or the recipient to then reply to that email in an encrypted form, or also then send it back in PDF or something to that effect. If they want to do that, they would need our app on their side. However, you mentioned TLS, Tristan. If the recipient is also using TLS on the client, most time if you're using a Gmail account, then at least the reply stream is also encrypted. So when somebody hits reply, it will be encrypted, not at content level, but at the mail stream level. Okay, so it's a singular direction email encryption tool. It's not meant for inbox security. You have other tools to do spam filtering, phishing filtering, all of that kind of stuff. And you buy those tools specifically and purposely designed for that. Also, gateways, do this quite well, where all the mails are flowing through the cloud and it checks it and those kind of things. Our app is not designed to do any of that stuff. And then you get something called DLP, okay, data leak prevention. We are not designed to do that kind of stuff. The reason is we are not content driven. We are admin or user driven. A DLP will be looking at things like keywords. So if you typed in an ID number or if it contains a certain expression, then encrypt it. The problem with that, it takes a lot of work to maintain all those expressions, as we call them, right? Regular expressions. To maintain them and for a small business to do this, it's a big task. The bigger issue as well is that if you miss something, if you forgot to type in a certain type of structure, like a certain, account number or bank account, and it doesn't see it, then it's going to miss it. And then your intention of sending out email encrypted is gone or missed. Also, it's not meant to stop or prevent data exfiltration. If your user wanted to email stuff to their Gmail account, we're not designed to stop that. You would decide that as rules that you set up on your mail environment. So gateways are great to deliver DLP, but for a smaller business, well, it requires too much work and it costs a lot of money. So I just want to be clear what we're not doing, All right, hopefully that clarifies that. How does this product get licensed? Well, very simple and easy. Okay, it's an app that you install on a PC. So we simply have to license the application on the PC, and it's just licensed per PC. And it's licensed per PC per month. So you'll simply just pay a small subscription fee, really affordable price point. It is unlimited for the number of mailboxes or users that you have on a PC. Let me give you an example. So you have Outlook as your mail client. Maybe you're using your business email address in Outlook. Well, if you wanted to go and add your Gmail account and your other personal account in there, no problem. You now can have encryption for all your other accounts just by using Outlook as your mail client. And we'll do that for you automatically. Another big point, Tristan, is remember I told you we send out the passwords or we can send it out by SMS. Well, this is free of charge with our app, included for worldwide usage. You don't pay for any of those SMSs going out to send the SMS of the password or with the password to your recipient. We cover that cost completely worldwide. So it's a fantastic value for money in terms of doing this. Otherwise, with most other apps, your only option is to send it with email. And of course, then, if that email is infiltrated, it becomes a challenge. Like I said earlier, it works for any email account inside of Outlook, including your Gmail account. So really fantastic at that level. And then just to clarify that the licensing is done via the cloud. So the app will be checking the cloud. And of course, it validates its license on the cloud. So that's how it's licensed. You just put in a code, it unlocks the application, away you go. Simple. You buy the code and it's done. And you can buy it for any number of computers or devices that you need. Right. Now, just in closing, Tristan, I just want to kind of share some tips to your audience here. Okay. We quite often see it, right? And you might have received emails from your service provider or bank or somebody. ID numbers might not actually be a wise choice as a password. And I make this recommendation because there's been a number of large-scale breaches recently. We obviously probably all know about the TransUnion one. Well, 54 million records. So almost all of us in South Africa is already compromised. Somebody out there has already got our ID numbers, credit history, cell phone numbers. It's already out there. And where it is, it's called the dark web, right? So hackers and bad people can buy that information from the dark web. So, you know, ID numbers can be obtained by the bad actors. So if you're using an ID number and you tell a person it's your ID number, well, somebody can go and get that ID number. If you didn't know the deeds database, so if you own a property, that's already been breached. So the property and the ID numbers are already out there as well. Now the conundrum, Tristan, is finding a fair balance between security and ease of use for the recipient. Because when you send this to somebody, you want them to be able to open and access this email with ease, but to do it in an easy way. But you want to find a way to balance security. So obviously, we'll be taking questions on the end. I know there's some questions coming up. Just queue your questions up. We'll take them all in the end. Now, Tristan, my recommendations, okay, is to use an unrelated password, or rather let our app auto-generate a unique password when it's sending it out. You could also use something that is company confidential, like a client ID or an entity number or something. So it's not well known out there, and it's not something that's easily accessible, right? I would also recommend rather transmitting the password via SMS. It's free of charge in our product. Take advantage. I mean, if you're mailing somebody, you most likely can, get or know their mobile number and then just basically attach that, right? Or manually communicate the password via another method, whether that be WhatsApp or through your call center or just a personal call. I would definitely recommend that if you're using this for business purposes, to use a shared password list as opposed to the personal password list, where possible, for tighter business control, meaning that the admin or the company secretary is controlling, the list of the recipients and their passwords. Again, it's not going to stop you from sending to one that's not included in the list yet. It's just that when they get added, then that will become the password that gets used going forward. And then one I highly recommend is, it's again free of charge. It's just a tick box or a setting in our app. Choose to obscure the subject line so that eavesdroppers or people that's infiltrating emails on the internet don't know what it's about, doesn't know that, hey, I'm sending you an email to do a deposit or to do a payment, and here's the invoice with our bank info and things. You can't see what it relates to. If you get an email from one of the popular medical aid companies in the country, I know I'm on one of them, they do the same thing, okay, where they don't, on the subject line, it just says mail reference ID number, blah, blah, blah. And only when you open it, it tells you whether it relates to a claim or whatever. So on that basis, well, that's expensive systems to do all of that stuff. We've done this inside an app, free of charge, radio affordably with our app. Now, if you do want to make use of ID numbers, my recommendation is don't do the daft thing. Don't disclose the use of that in the email that you are sending. And a lot of them are doing it. They tell you, we sent you an encrypted email. To unlock this email, use your ID number. What did I just tell you? If it's an attacker eavesdropping, well, remember, the attachment is encrypted, but not the email itself, right? They're sending you that in plain text. So if I was an infiltrator, well, I know now it's the ID number. Well, I'll go and find Amit's ID number, and it's out there already because of TransUnion and the deeds database and all of that stuff. I got it. Now I can open that email, and every time somebody sends you that encrypted email or the bank sends you that encrypted email, well, they know to use your ID number. So that's a bit stupid and foolish. So I would say, don't communicate that if you are using it, it's fine, but don't communicate that in the same email that you're sending. Now, Justin, while this is a new app that we're bringing to the country, I do want to clarify that we have deep history. As a vendor, we've got good pedigree. We basically have or do security in 30 plus countries on 7 continents. We have encryption products for PCs and Macintosh and phones and tablets and all these things. This is just a new capability or product that we adding to the portfolio. Before we introduced this into the market, it went through a number of months of testing here. And you can see from some of the people that have been testing it and using it and even now purchased it, there's some good commentary about it. The one in the middle there, it's a law firm based in KZN that is using the product now. And they found that, using this program was quite simple, firstly, for the senders, the people that sending out the attorneys, sending out the emails. And they've had 0 complaints come from their clients who have received the encrypted emails. So if you can just picture receiving your email from one of the banks, which is a PDF encrypted email, that's exactly the experience that your third party is going to have. Except we're not telling them what the password is in that email. You'll communicate that either via SMS or separately via email. Cool.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thanks for that, Amit. Really appreciate it. And guys, as you can see, it's been tested quite a bit in the past few months. It is an extremely exceptional product. It's received some very good reviews in the last couple of months as well through testing as well. Um, just with regards to the questions, please queue them up, send them through the chat box. We will be answering them in a few minutes. But just before we do that, I'm just going to hand over to Dylan to make some very exciting announcements here.
Excellent. Just on that subject, Amit, thank you very much for that, and Tristan, thank you for handing over. Amit, what I usually do is I use my brother's email. Sorry, not email. Well, I use his email address and I use his ID number. That way, the bad guys can't ever catch me, if you know what I'm saying. And it definitely takes the limelight off of me. So, if you're going to do anything with ID numbers, use somebody else's, and that is a total joke, guys. All right, so guys, very quickly before we move back to Q&A, we are a proud sponsor of IT Web Security Summit this year. Should you want to attend but don't have your tickets yet, please reach out to us for a discount on your ticket purchase. This is taking place next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Please come visit our stand. That's stand number 9 if you are attending. I'll show it, or Tristan will show it a bit in a short while. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Very exciting stuff happening there. Besides all the cybersecurity and training that you'll learn about, you could also be a lucky winner of a Callaway golf set to the value of 12,000 Rand. So please do join us. Come ask us questions, interact with the team, put your name in the hat to participate, guys. Should golf not be your thing, we definitely got you covered. So if golf isn't your thing, well, today be your lucky day, matey. We will be giving away a one-night stay for 2 at a luxury hotel and spa. So again, please do join us at the summit. Follow us on social media and the like, and then also like and share our posts, and this could get you quite a lot closer to winning some prizes. Tristan, do you want to do the Q&A before we do the giveaway for today? Yeah, I think let's move back to the Q&A.
Sure.
And
Sure, no problem.
I will shoot off with that. So, okay, I use Gmail. Can I still use the app to do PDF email encryption? And then just to add on to that, does it only work for Outlook, to Outlook emails, or can I still use it to send encrypted emails to external email accounts such as Gmail?
Right, so I'll take that one, Dylan. The first part of that question, absolutely yes, it will work for any email account that you will configure inside of Outlook as the mail client. So all you need is Outlook as your mail client. And as we know today, most people with a Microsoft subscription, you have Outlook on your PC. So just add your Gmail account or anything, and it would work. So it will allow you to send out encrypted email for any email account or address. What was the second part of that question, Dylan? Just repeat.
Does it only work for Outlook to Outlook emails, or can I still use it to send encrypted emails to external email accounts such as Gmail?
So from the sender, you would need Outlook, right? To do that's the engine. For the third party or the recipient, basically it's to any email address, and they're just receiving a PDF file. That's why we have chosen to go PDF format, because PDF is so ubiquitous. It's an open standard. Almost everybody today can, open a PDF on their device, whether that's a phone or a MacBook or a tablet. You just need a PDF viewer to do that.
Absolutely.
Like Adobe.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Amit. From PMZ, if we had to communicate the password by phone, this means I have to have everyone's mobile number.
As you're emailing out, that is correct. You can't send an SMS if you don't know the mobile number. So yes, you would do that. If you don't know it, then you could still communicate it via email. I mean, it's all flexible and optional how you want to send it. But just remember, when we send it by email, we don't send it in the same email. It will be a separate email stream to the same mailbox. Or you can type in an alternate email address, like Dylan was saying. He's using his brother's, so he could be his brother's email address, and his brother gets the email with the password, not you. So both options apply.
Excellent. Okay, good answer and a very good question. Thanks. That came from was it
PMZ.
Yeah, there we go. So if we have to communicate the password, okay, there we go. So then we also have Roberto. Thank you for your question. Can the system generate a password uniquely to avoid password reuse or credential theft?
Yes. So we have a setting which is default to auto-generate the password, and then if you want to override that one, then change it.
Okay, excellent. And then from our
Just
best friend.
further elaboration on that one, Dylan. You can set a separate a different password every time for the
Yes.
same user. You don't have to use the same password for the same recipient every time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Tristan. And then from our best friend Neil, is there an app for Mac and Linux or only Windows?
The common user base, which is predominantly Outlook on Windows, it will be on our roadmap. However, there are other priorities for the app than putting it on Mac right now. So unfortunately, for the Mac users out there, we don't have an answer to you.
Okay, for now, right?
For now.
Moving on. Is this on the same level as bank level encryption?
It's beyond, because if you check the security of the PDF, and we can do a session with whoever asked that question after this, if you right click on your PDF that you get and you go to the security or properties of that file and you actually check the security, it'll tell you how the security of that is maintained, right? Or is done. So we're applying the same type of policies and control. We are applying the permission control within that. But very importantly, when you look at the actual encryption algorithm, we are using the strongest cipher possible, which is 256-bit AES encryption. If you look at the one coming from your bank, you'll probably see, and I've done it myself, it's much lower. It's 128-bit AES encryption. So to answer your question, we are stronger than the bank.
Okay, brilliant. I'm stronger than Arnold Schwarzenegger as well, so I like being on the strong team. Amit, thanks for that. With the will the emails have passwordless authentication? And that comes from Lee.
So it's a good question. It's a very technical question for your audience out there. But remember when Tristan was going through the methods, right? S-MIME is that method, but then you need certificates, and then you need an app on the other side to embed that certificate. It's very complicated. Try and do that for just a normal, average recipient that's going to get an email from you. He's not going to know what to do. Then you're going to have to communicate a certificate.
Sure.
PDF is standard, and that's why we've opted for that method. So short answer to your question, no. And we don't want to, because we want to keep this simple. And PDF is an open standard.
Absolutely brilliant. All right, I am going to have to speed things up here, Amit and Tristan. So what version of Outlook is required to run the beachhead in-app function?
I think that.
Yeah, sorry about that. What version of Outlook is required to run the beachhead in-app function?
We've tested right back to 2003.
Okay, excellent. Guys, for any questions we don't get to, we definitely will get back to you on mail and try and reach out to you. Yes, Ruan, the recording will be available. We just need to wait for marketing to actually cut out the naughty bits from Dylan L. So from Richard, as a healthcare company, many comms that go out to patients have very sensitive information, correct? Yes, data regarding test results, account information, etc. Please, can you expand if you could handle batch type communications? Very good question. And also how to automate this process.
Very good question. I need to elaborate on that. In the interest of time, if I can ask, just for some tolerance, the short answer is yes, we will be able to help your healthcare company. So Richard, following this, let's take an extended conversation, and I'll actually show you and how we do it, and go into the details of that.
Excellent. So Ron, be ready on your phone with a green button. Does the app convert the email body to PDF? How does it handle an email with attachments?
Good question. So we can do, remember I said email flexibility or encryption flexibility? We can do the full body and attachments inside in a PDF, meaning it's embedded all inside the PDF. And you just see the attachment like attachment inside the PDF, right? Adobe, when you open it with Adobe, it can show you attachments. So not just the content, but attachments. We can do the conversion of a flat document like a statement or a medical report or something from a Word document or a spreadsheet straight into a PDF. So we'll do that automatic conversion for you. You don't have to buy another third-party app to do that. And then if you want to keep the attachment itself in its native format, so maybe it's a spreadsheet, and I'm sending it to you, Dylan, and I want you to have the ability to edit that because we're doing some stuff, like modeling on it. I can take that spreadsheet and put it inside the PDF, the encrypted PDF. It's what we call a PDF envelope. So it's embedded, and when you open the encrypted PDF, you'll see the attachment, and then you just open it up like your normal spreadsheets, and then you can edit it, save it, those kind of things. So all are catered for.
Excellent. One more. I think we'll take one more. Yes, one more, and I'll just quickly answer it. Ruan, yes, we will get white papers and that sort of thing over to you. Obviously, just give you a phone call first and perhaps find out exactly what it is you're looking for. But yes, we definitely have white papers. Yeah, especially with regards to the information security principle. So we'll get back to you on that. Perhaps we can move on to, and I'm sorry to cut this short, guys, but if there are any more questions, please do post them, and I promise you we will strive to get back to you as soon as possible with the answers. But I think we need to move on to the prize giving for the day. So one lucky participant of today's webinar is going to win a 1-month Cyber Risk Essential package. This includes actual simulations, free premium training, reporting, and I promise you a whole lot more. So guys, it is fastest fingers first. Whoever answers correctly first, be ready. The question, my dear friends and our valued customers, is this. What is the number one way of email mailbox compromise? Number one way of email mailbox compromise.
Yeah, we got some good answers there. I see someone was first.
Well, generally somebody comes first
Yeah,
sometimes.
perfect.
Yeah. Do we have an answer?
Yeah, we do.
Sure.
We got a correct answer,
All right.
and we will reach out to you.
You want to
So
announce
announce
the
it.
winner? Yeah, please do.
100%. Perfect. This one goes to PMZ. That is the answer that came through first.
What is the answer?
Phishing.
There we go. PMZ, thank you very much. We will reach out to you. Yeah, congratulations. Thanks, Roberto, for being such a team player. But the prize giving's not done. So, Roberto, hopefully you can win something too. Lee, yeah, eavesdropping probably, definitely. Sure, well done. Okay, so who gets the next prize? Oh, well, yes, we all do. That's right. Everyone who attended the full webinar today wins a 25% off of their next vulnerability scan. Yes, that's everybody on this call. Guys, I need to reiterate that this prize is only valid for 3 months from today, so please redeem it fast. Reach out to your CRS AM to claim your prize. We look forward to hearing from you. With that being said, we are 4 minutes over. Definitely don't want to steal anybody's time. So thank you everyone for attending. Our excellent speakers. Thank you to you guys as well. Thank you to all, and to all a good day.